G'day YouTube, my name's Lance. Welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report. Look, the temperature's sort of 19, 20 to 25, 26 in there somewhere, but there's a front coming through from the west with a heap of rain in it. So the Bureau of Meteorology are telling us that we're going to get pissed on. Yeah, so they reckon 150 mil won't be out of the question, maybe 200. Out on the creeks out west through Longreach, Ilfracombe, or Isisford, they had to clear the dam, or clear the camping spots at Isisford yesterday or day before, I see. So, yeah, the bit of wet weather coming our way, which, look, that's fine. Yeah, we all need a bit of rain. Our place is looking lovely. As you know, our dams are full now, and they've been full for a few months, so it'll just top it up and keep the paddock nice and green and things like that. So we're looking forward to it. Last night, I didn't measure the rain this morning yet, but last night we had a few good showers and a storm went around us, and a storm went around us, and yeah, there wasn't a lot of rain, it wasn't heavy rain, but there was a few good showers. 5 o'clock this morning, it's about a little after 6 now, I think. 5 o'clock this morning we had a good shower, so I'm up the shed here. I don't know what I can film today. As you know, the big shed here, I can't film in the rain. It's just too noisy. So we're going to see what we get done. We may get some done, we may not. It just depends on what happens. I was going to come home an extra day last week, but and do a bit of work, but that just didn't happen. I was just too busy at work to do anything like that. And so, yeah, it was a busy and stressful week last week. I mentioned briefly that my young fella Tim and his wife Ellie, they had a little baby. Must be not quite 2 weeks ago, and yeah, they took baby in and had tests and all that sort of thing. Yeah, they released bub home, and anyway, last week, or not last week, the week before, about midweek. Actually, no, it would have been early last week, I think. I'm getting my days mixed up. It seems like a long ordeal, but yeah, Ellie picked up that the little one, Freya is her name, picked up that she wasn't quite as responsive as she could be, and she thought there's just something not right here. So she went up to the hospital with little Freya and saw 2 doctors, and the 2 doctors up there, they checked her out and said, oh, nothing wrong, you're just being oversensitive as a first mum, as a new mum and things like that. And anyway, Ellie stuck to her guns. And she said she wasn't like that, like she was more alert in the eyes and all that sort of thing. She said there's something not right, and these blokes were sending her home. And but anyway, she wouldn't go. She said no. She said, I know there's something not right. So another doctor come along, and I don't know what time frame this went on, but another doctor come along and he ran her through some tests, and he says, straight to Brisbane with you, you've got a heart problem. So so the shit hit the fan big time, and Ellie and Freya were flown from Bundaberg to Brisbane, to the Brisbane Children's Hospital, and Tim's panicking up here. He's thinking, oh Christ. So he was getting everything packed up ready, and so he had to go the 4 hours drive down by car. And when they got there, they did the tests, and what was happening was one of the valves in her heart wasn't sealing properly, wasn't working properly. So Ellie did very well to pick that up, and well, she knew, female intuition or mum's intuition or something. So it's, for Tim and Ellie, it's really been a stressful week. For us, it's been a stressful week, worrying about what's going on. And last Thursday, I think it was Thursday. My days might be a bit out here, but yeah, last Thursday, little Freya had somewhere around 7 hours of open heart surgery, and there was a little hole in her heart as well, a couple of little holes there. So they don't know what caused it, why, but after her surgery, they fixed the heart valve that was leaking. There was only one, I believe, and one of the holes, but there's another tiny little hole, but they reckon as she grows that'll sort itself out. So, but very confronting for Tim and Ellie. They've been stressing big time down there, and the family's just been constantly thinking of them. So she come out of the surgery all right, and so everyone was pretty happy, but the doctors were saying, look, not out of the woods yet. Take it 12 hours at a time, and if she gets through each 12 hours, well, that's another blessing sort of thing. So, but look, she seems to have been going well. Had a hiccup the other night. They call it a waiver or something like that's the word they use down there, but she's in intensive care and got all the help that anyone can possibly give her. So Ellie's first Mother's Day, which was yesterday, didn't quite go to how she had dreamt, I'd imagine. So it's a bit of a tough time down there. Pardon me. So as part of that, part of being family backup, well, Judy's been, pardon me, Ellie's mum's been staying at their house to feed the dogs, and then Judy's been going over doing a bit of cleaning and sorting a few things out for them, getting stuff organised. And so Jude and I have gone from being a pair of old farts that just have ourselves to look after, well, we're looking after two kids. And so, one's 8 and one's 5. And so Tim and Ellie they're staying at the Ronald McDonald House down in Brisbane there, and they were booked in for a fortnight, but they might be down there for 3 weeks or so yet. But the confronting thing was with the little bub, once they do the surgery, they keep her knocked out so she doesn't stress, and just to keep everything calm so it doesn't overload the heart and things, and they leave the chest open with like a gauze on it, so they can sort of check and do stuff. I'm not 100% sure why, but it's looking okay, and looks like through this week, next week, they might hop in and stitch it all up and get it all back going, back tidied up if it's possible, if things go that way. So Jude and myself, we're on school duties. Pardon me. So Jude and myself, we're on school duties. So Jude has to have the kids at school this morning at 8 o'clock, then go to work, or 8:30 I think, then go to work, and then this afternoon she's got to pick them up at 3 o'clock. But because Ross is on a rostered day off, and Alan and Mitch start early, finish at 3:30, well, Jude's taking the kids back to the shop. They'll do their homework and all at the shop, and then come home. So for the next few days, at school duty. Tomorrow won't be so bad. I'll be there, and Ross won't be on a rostered day off, so it'll just be, we'll have staff to cover, so it won't be as difficult as today will. So now it's back to making school lunches and getting kids ready for school. And I was coming up the back this morning to try and get a bit of filming done in between showers, and Arrow's there, hey, we're going up the shed, Poppy? And I was, oh no, I'm going to work, mate, I've got to go. Because he'd like to be up here buggering around, not going to school. So he's, anyway, we'll see. He's got to go to bloody school, that's it. that's not negotiable. But Jude and myself, we're parents of young kids just for a little while. And because Tim and the kids' mum aren't together anymore, it's sort of like, it's not quite week on, week off, but that sort of thing. So, that's something different. They wear you out, young kids. You don't know. Young people have kids when they're young because they're fit and they can put up with it. Us old blokes, knocks you around a bit. But anyway, good fun. And last night we had a fire out in the pool room and things like that. So this week will be another bit of a schmozzle probably, but we'll just see what we can do. Pardon me. I've just been out and filmed, before it rained, I went and filmed a saw bench that I bought at the auction. There's a bit of footage on that coming at the end of the stew. I bought a set of diamond harrows for tidying up the paddock. Once we get all the trees tidied up and we've done some stick picking, I'm going to work up just a probably 5 or 6 metre section along the fence line, and we're going to, because at the moment it's all humps and hollers, and I can get it fairly good with the front end loader on the John Deere, but we've got the harrows so we can run it over the top and level it out nicely, and yeah, if we don't do it now, every time we slash it we'll be up and down. So I bought some harrows. The other thing I didn't show on the video, at the auction I went to, they had a couple of old whippersnippers, and they're rooted, you know, they're just worn out, buggered, and you could buy 4 whippersnippers for $10, and I bought them. And the reason I bought them is Arrow and Airy, the grandkids, they like pulling stuff apart. So I bought a couple of old buggered whippersnippers, and Saturday afternoon, me and Arrow sat down, and I'd loosen the bolts and he'd sit there. They're all Torx drives, and he'd sit there undoing them. And anyway, we got one engine pulled apart, and he got sick of that. That was enough for the day. So I've just got them parked out the front of the shed on a pallet, and yeah, over the next time, yeah, Arrow and Airy can start pulling these engines apart. And it's just practice, just pull stuff apart, hands on, get dirty, just have a bit of fun. And for $10 before old petrol whippersnippers, it's pretty good value for keeping kids entertained for a little while. But yeah, it's only short bursts, like pull one engine apart, and I've had enough now, Poppy. And when he's had enough, he gets the screwdrivers and he pretends he's a drummer, and you know, bang, and starts banging everything around. You've got to keep him away from the cars. So there you go. While at the auction on Saturday, I stumbled across a liner puller, of all things. You know, when we're working on a tractor, we've been doing videos on liner pullers and modifying the liner puller I broke because it was too light, and for this job and things like that. And I just had liner pullers on my mind, and last week I machined, oh, this bloody thing's magnetic, sticking to it. Yeah, last week I machined this disc that we used for pulling the liners in the 65 engine, and I machined the back. Oh, you haven't got it there, but I machined the back with a recess here to take a thrust bearing off a levelling box on a Massey Ferguson. I thought just a thrust there is better than metal on metal, and in the past I've had hardened steel washers and I've just used that. But the 3/4 UNC threaded rod, it's 3/4 10 threads per inch, and for this job it just wasn't up to it. So bugger me dead, I'm looking at the auction there, and it's like a junk auction. You know, you go in the shed and there's all sorts of shit. There's clocks and bloody lights and lamps and, like I say, whippersnippers and chainsaws and anything anyone wants to get rid of, they take it to this auction. But I don't normally go to auctions, but I saw that Massey Ferguson saw bench advertised, and I particularly went to get to that. I paid $1,000. It's good money, but it is in good nick. It didn't really matter. I was coming home with it anyway because I want to use it over in the paddock there, but I also want to have it as an implement for the 65 when I get it all restored and done up. So I thought, you know, 2 birds, good thing. So bugger me dead, over in the corner, I spot a heap of threaded rod. So that's 1¼ UNF, so it's 1¼ by 12 threads per inch threaded rod. Now, I believe it's high tensile threaded rod. Now, if I was buying this stuff here, like, it was going to cost me like $160 a length or something to buy it and get it shipped into town, so I didn't do it, and bugger me dead, and I would have just went for inch, but it's got like, yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it's got like numbers stamped into the end of it, and there's another number down at that end there. And now, I think it's probably high tensile. It's black, which doesn't really mean anything, but if it wasn't high tensile, it was just El Cheapo Chinese stuff. They don't bother putting numbers on it, they just knock it out. So there was 2 lengths of this. Now this length I have in my hand has never been used. There's no wear on the threads at all. And that's 735 millimeters long. And, whoop, but you can see on this one here, this has been used a bit. You can see the thread's a bit nailed up there. So that'll end up in the lathe and I'll chase this thread and tidy that up. And I'll just hang that up on the floor, eh? And this one here must have been the one he used most, whoever made this originally, and just in one section there the thread's shit, but I'll work around that. I'll chase that thread and tidy it up and we'll work from there. Now, I'll put that up there, it won't fall down. And what the fella used was these nuts with these little handles on them. Now I'm buggered if I know. Some of the stuff I've done, that just wouldn't cut the mustard. But there's 12 of these nuts with handles on them. And these discs, it came with a set of discs. Now these discs, they've been flame cut, rough as guts. And you can see the load he's had on it at some stage, because where those marks are there, that's where the nut, they sort of match up with the nut. Oh, well that one doesn't actually, might have been a washer there. But you can actually see, try and get the light, you can see there's like a worn area in here. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure on how that all worked, but some of the discs are rough as guts. So that one's got a split in it too. And that may be a little weld around there. I'll tidy one up and have a bit of a look. And that's a disc that may have been used sometime. But yeah, all flame cut. So, but that's not so much of a worry. I won't use them like that. I'll put them in the lathe and I'll tidy everything up, and I'll use these plates as blanks for machining particular things. They seem to be in sizes. There's a few all the same, I think, but it doesn't matter. But what that led to was Lance went and done a raid on Queensland Tractor Spares, and what that works, yeah. So with 1.25" a Sparex S 40226 TE20 kingpin thrust bearing works. So that sits on the thread nicely. So what happens now is all that good work we done the other day, I'm going to make 1.25" is going to be the standard now. I think I've got a lifetime of threaded rod there if I look after it. So this pocket here for the smaller thrust is going to get machined out to take the 1.25" thrust off a TE20, and the hole will be bored to 1.25". So everything's just ramped up a size. So through the week I didn't get to putting the hex on the threaded bar I bought. I bought 4 lengths of 3/4 UNC threaded bar, and I was going to put them in the mill and put the hex on them, but with everything happening last week, that didn't happen at all. So this here, yeah, I'll make some new discs now. I'll not make new discs, this disc works fine. I'll just adapt these discs now to the 1.25" threaded rod, and we'll go from there. Now, these nuts with this little, look, that's 1/4, and I don't know, they must have worked, but and you know, a couple of them are broken, and this one here is a bit bent, you know, where he must have been giving it some. So what I think I'll do, I'll keep a couple of these for well, I've got 12 of them, and I'm sure I don't need 12 straight up, but I'll probably weld a couple of, say, half 5/8 handles on here, and so I'll have something that I can turn and put a jack handle on and really give it some. I may machine a hex on the top. Now, I had a 3/4 nut, a 3/4 nut off a Howard rotary hoe bolt, and I've held that up there, and I should be able to mill this down to a 3/4 hex. So with a 3/4 hex, the same plan that we use to pull the liners and all that should work okay. So anyway, we'll see how all that goes. I was hoping today to get the liners in this engine. I do have more cleaning to do yet, but look, just it depends on the weather. The parts washer, I've got to get all the rubbish out of the parts washer that I put in there yesterday to wash the floor. Other stuff went on the bench, so I've got a bench full of shit, I've got a parts washer full of shit, and parts to clean. And look, if it just pissed down all day, I've got parts to clean. I could spend the whole day cleaning parts. And but anyway, we'll just see what goes on. If it gets real noisy down here, I will probably go up and start doing some machining on these discs and things like that, and we'll put it in a part 2 of the stew or something like that. So I reckon that's a pretty long stew by now. I should shut up. That's what's been happening in Bundy Bear's shed. We've changed the YouTube category from personal blog to automotive and vehicles on YouTube. So that'll bring us up in different areas to what we've been brought up in. And if you like watching restoration stuff, go and have a look at Squatch as in Sasquatch. Squatch 253, he does up cat dozers and things like that. Go and have a look at that. I enjoy watching his channel. Facebook friend AJ Spencer, he's doing up a 65, and I sent him some measurements for the liner. He's made a nice liner puller, and he's telling me this morning via messenger that John Mills from Double Boost has made the discs for him. So I don't know whether John's going to put it on his SNNs, but he may well do. So have a look out for that. Double Boost is the channel's name. Well worth a look. He's a machinery bloke, good machinist, just all round good bloke. And yeah, see how you go. So that's it. Thanks for dropping by. I'll shut up. There's a bit of video on what I picked up from the auction at the end here, and if the day works out, we may have some machining at the end. If there's no machining, you know I was able to keep going in here and try and get an extra video out. So you'll notice there was only one video out last week, apart from the stew. That was because of other things going on. Now, it may be the same this week. I'll try and get something in the pipeline, but we'll see how we go. We've just got limited time, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, thanks for dropping by. We'll catch you all next week, eh? Right, here's our quick little walk around. Yesterday afternoon, in the rain, I come up to the shed here and I pressure cleaned all the floor. So if we're going to put engines together, I'd like to have a dust-free environment. Not had a chance to start on JD's engine yet, and that's fine. He's not in a hurry, but we will deal with that very soon. But I got it all pressure cleaned all the way through to the back door there, and all through here to where the block is. Now, that's the block. I spent hours cleaning that bloody block, and yeah, I cleaned him all up. I pressure cleaned it, pulled all the Welsh plugs out. Now, I was wondering about hot tubbing it, but I didn't really have to. Down inside there, like there's a shelf about, let's say 1.25 inches down. Well, it was right up to this Welsh plug, just with dirt. Now look, the rust isn't so bad. Of course it's discoloured a little bit, but all the liners, those bores have been cleaned a bit. I do want to check up here. You can see there's a little mark I don't know if you can see it. Nice square edge there, then the shoulder just disappears just there a little bit. But look, it must have been okay. It went for years like that. So the block's all tidied up there, ready to go. If it doesn't piss down all day, I may get the liners in. So I washed it up, cleaned threads and buggered round. There's still more to do yet. They're never exactly how you would like them. Well, I don't reckon, but I've tidied the block up, taken gaskets off and all that. So I did that, then I blew it and blew it and blew it and made sure there was no moisture tucked away anywhere. Pulled all the gaskets off the front and anywhere else I could get to. It'll still need a bit of a, so there's still a slight mark there now. But I'll keep going until I can't get dirty fingers on it. I still have to clean the threads for the head studs. I usually run a tap down those, so just make sure they're clean. So yeah, once I cleaned that, which it took hours, but once I cleaned that, I blew it all dry, got it as dry as I possibly could, put like WD-40 inox type stuff on it, and then I wrapped it up in that sheet. So it's 2 days later and it's pretty good. There's a couple of little places with a little bit of surface rust, but it wipes off. So it'll get a bit more of a clean yet, but look, that's pretty good. Then while we're doing the walk, you may not be able to see over here. I haven't got the back door open because of the weather. But on the parts washer here, we've got new power points. So we got all that hooked up and in. Everything around the place got chucked into the parts washer just for cleaning the floor. But I now have the sink all plumbed up, ready to go. So I can just pull this ball valve. So that light's terrible, isn't it? But now I've cracked the O-ring. There's a S-bend under there, so I've got to go to the shop and buy a new one of them one day soon. And but yeah, for washing your arms and cooling something down after welding, that's good. That's been there for ages, but it's plumbed now. It's right to go. So the pressure pump that supplies that, it's lasted, I think it's lasted a bit over a week now. So, oh, geez, what a bargain.